Back in the late 70s, the NBA was dying. Viewership was rapidly declining and the league was on the brink of falling apart. Whatever was happening in the league was not working and it needed some kind of change. See, today we see all sorts of gimmicks, like the in-season tournament, commercialized jerseys, whatever this nonsense is. But back in 1979, the NBA introduced a gimmick that was so radical, so hated by fans and players alike, so unorthodox, that they planned on getting rid of it even before they implemented it. And that gimmick, my friends, was the introduction of the three-point line. 1979 was an interesting time in the league for sure, because not only did the league introduce the three-point line, it also happened to introduce its very first three-point star.
So got 3 seconds, 2, Bird, a runner, it's good! 40 points on the night for Larry Bird. Loops it to Bird, a runner, it's good! Larry Bird comes into a standing ovation here at the Boston Garden.
Larry Legend, the man who turned the three-point shot from a gimmick into a weapon, and he was ferocious with it. This was the man who famously walked into the three-point contest locker room and asked, "Which one of you guys is coming in second?" and then proceeded to win it. But Larry didn't shoot many threes. It just wasn't how the game was played back then. But my God, did he open the door for what the future would look like.
Out of bounds play, Larry says, "I'm going to bust off the play and I'm just going to come out and I'm going to shoot a 3. And I'm like, "No, don't do that." I'm like, "Let's shoot a 2, please. Go to the hole, try to get fouled. Let's just get into overtime." He gets the ball, jumps out, busts the play, comes out, gets the ball at the slot, shoots the ball. As the ball's in the air, he kind of turns towards the Phoenix bench and yells, "Told you so."
In the 84-85 season, he only attempted 131 threes, but he hit them at an impressive 42.7%. In reference, this was Michael Jordan's rookie season, and he shot a nicey 17% from deep. Like I said, shooting threes was just not the way people played back then. Yet, during this stretch of Bird's career, he shot over 40% from 3 for 4 straight seasons, something no other player did during that time, and in doing so, he proved that legends of the game can win games with a three-point shot. So yeah, the league did plan on getting rid of the three-pointer. But when you get a player like Larry Bird who knew how to ignite a crowd with his big-time shot-making ability, well, the NBA just had to keep it, and thus began the evolution of the three-point shooter.
Cars and trucks each sold separately.
In front of that line, look at this, the double.
It's free with a kids meal and 99 cents.
O.J. Simpson.
Box, the perfect gift for your kids.
Welcome to the 90s, a time when airport security was non-existent and Will Smith was a respected rapper. And it was a time when the three-point shot was being used a little more, but far from being used to its fullest potential. After all, it takes a lot of time for change to occur. But even more, it takes revolutionaries to make those changes. And in the 90s, we're introduced to our next revolutionary.
Key gets it in the middle for the win. It's there! 4/10 of a second.
Reggie for 3. Miller, a break. Bang! Miller gives the Pacers the lead.
Reggie Miller with a clutch tray, and it's 105.
Reggie Miller took what Larry Bird started and ran with it. He turned the three-point shot from what teams basically saw as gambling into an efficient tool, and did so in a very unconventional way. Remember, this was the era of Michael Jordan, of Hakeem Olajuwon, of dominant post play and ISO middies. The prevailing wisdom dictated that the greatest players created their own shots, preferably off the dribble from the mid-range or in the post. But those were not the strengths of Reggie Miller. He was actually a pretty garbage isolation scorer. So how was he so effective? You see, Reggie Miller revolutionized the idea that a star can score by playing off-ball. He was constantly moving, forced defenses to chase him through a maze of screens and cuts, creating tiny windows of opportunity to catch the ball and fire before anyone could react. This relentless, intelligent off-ball movement became his primary weapon, proving that a superstar didn't need to dominate the ball to dominate the scoreboard. This style of ball was so revolutionary, so different for its time, that many of his contemporaries simply refused to acknowledge how truly great he was. They believed that he played off ball so much simply because he couldn't score on his own. And yet this bamboozled defenses, creating a lot of open looks. And ultimately, it's a large part of how offenses function today. He became a pioneer in creating the gravitational field, pulling defenders into him, which ended up creating a lot of open shots for his teammates. So even when Reggie wasn't scoring himself, his presence alone was causing his team to get buckets. The thing is, Reggie Miller had his limitations. He was unathletic, inconsistent, and ultimately never won a title. So even though people were starting to believe in the three-point shot, it still very much had its doubters, especially in the NBA. There was still a long way to go before the league adopted it as a staple. And now, we're in the 2000s, and once again, we're introduced to our next three-point star.
Tapped by Allen. Reeled in by Rondo. Outside Allen for 3. Oh! is on Rondo. Allen over Noah. Oh! Ray Allen has done it again!
Game winner by Ray Allen.
But unable to finish.
Ray Allen once again changed what it meant to be an elite shooter. Despite being Hall of Famers, Larry Bird and Reggie Miller weren't exactly known for their world-class athleticism. So in a sense, the NBA community thought that the three was used by players that couldn't do anything else. Ray Allen changed that mindset, because man, this dude was an athlete.
Oh, and a finish from Ray Allen. You don't see it often, but when he elevates, the 35-year-old Ray Allen can rock the rim.
Granted, his three-point shooting volume did increase as he aged, and his three-point prime was past his athletic prime, but this is a man improving at his craft. Many young athletic players in his position would have just faded into irrelevance. Ray Allen, on the other hand, became an artist, curating the purest jump shot scene at the time. We look at Larry Legend and Reggie Miller, they had some ugly-looking jumpers, but Ray Allen perfected the mechanics, allowing him to hit threes at a level never done before. It was only a matter of time before he broke Reggie's unbreakable record.
Rondo sets it up. Here's Allen with a deep three. Yes! 2,561.
And not only was he an efficient shooter, he was a clutch shooter. Y'all know the clip I'm about to play next.
James catches, puts up a three. Won't go. Rebound Bosh. Back out to Allen. His three-pointer. Bang! Tie game with 5 seconds.
Yup. Ray Allen redefined the bar of what it means to be a truly elite three-point shooter. It'll be decades before we see something even remotely close to what Ray Allen was able to achieve.
Time three-point king in the NBA! Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang!
Wardell Stephen Curry. What can I even say about this man that you don't already know? Despite standing on the shoulders of giants, none of his predecessors impacted the game the way Steph Curry did. Larry simply didn't take enough threes, but nonetheless was a pioneer. Reggie built on Larry's game by implementing the catch and shoot, but was unathletic and inefficient in isolation. Ray Allen perfected the shooting form to be an efficient killer, but ultimately was most effective as a third option. Steph built upon all of them, adopting the elements that made them great while removing the elements that limited them. The result of which was likes of an artificially manufactured beast, specifically curated to kill unsuspecting goats. Let's start with the obvious. Steph redefined what it meant to have range. His shooting was so accurate that he could basically pull up from anywhere on the court. No other players launched from deep the way Steph did. Of course, now everyone does it, but that's only because of his influence, and they still don't do it with the same kind of sauce. But being the best shooter of all time isn't enough. It's not just about how crazy accurate he is. It's really about all the other elements in his game that makes that shooting possible. Think about it. If every opposing coach's game plan is don't let Steph shoot threes, how does he still manage to launch them at a historically high volume while still being super efficient? Well, first off, there's his ball handling. Steph can flat out create his own space with the ball in his hands. He could put defenders in a blender, shifting directions, crossing over, and stepping back to gain enough separation to fire. That elite handle meant he didn't always need a screen or a teammate's pass to get a shot off. He could literally dribble himself open from anywhere on the court. It helped that he had one of the quickest releases of all time, allowing just the smallest amount of separation be enough to get a shot off. Then there's his incredible ability to finish. His handle wouldn't mean much if his defender knew that he was just trying to get a shot off. But this isn't the case with Steph. He has the craftiness, body control, and soft touch at the basket, converting the craziest layups. This creates a dilemma for defenders. Get too tight to guard his jump shot, he drives. Take a step back to guard his drive, then he pulls up. It truly is a lose-lose for the defenders. And then there's this exhausting off-ball movement. We talked about how Reggie used to run around the court to get to an open spot, get the ball, and shoot. But Steph did this to a whole nother level. Seriously, if you ever watched a Warriors game closely, Steph is never standing still. He's constantly sprinting, cutting, relocating, and doing it in a pace that would gas out mere mortals. And in doing so, completely disorients defenses. This allows him to catch and shoot pretty open shots. All this gives Steph immense gravity. He'll have multiple defenders on him just to prevent him from getting a shot up, only to have one of his teammates wide open underneath the rim. But even being the best shooter of all time, Steph had his limitations. For one, he was small. Shorter players inevitably get their shot blocked more. Now, Steph was an incredible finisher, don't get me wrong, but that doesn't change the fact that he's more vulnerable to getting a shot blocked due to his shorter stature. Shooting difficult shots is a requirement for him, while stronger, taller players can get away with using their size to get to the rim, even if they have less skill. And his biggest flaw, I'd say, is his high turnover rate. Steph is pretty notorious for making wild passes, giving defenses plenty of opportunities to steal the ball and score in transition. Just look at his career turnover numbers compared to other guards of his time. That being said, this video isn't about passing, or even scoring. It's specifically about shooting, and it very much seems like Steph Curry is the pinnacle of the three-point shooter. Every decade since the introduction of the three-point line, we've seen the next three-point messiah emerge, taking the throne from their predecessor. But here we are, halfway through the 2020s, and we see nothing close to approaching Steph. So, the million-dollar question: what will it take to see the true successor of Steph Curry? Well, there are a number of ways we can approach this question. It'd be kind of a cop-out to just say, we'll get someone like Steph Curry who can shoot better. But that's not really the answer we're looking for. Reggie didn't evolve the three by simply being a better Larry. He evolved the shot with his off-ball style, great perfecting mechanics, and Steph incorporated an unstoppable handle and the ability to create his own shot. They all became the best shooters of their times by changing the game, rather than simply imitating their predecessors to a better degree. The true next king of the three-point line, the true successor of Steph Curry, would have to implement a style of ball we've never seen before. Let's call this hypothetical player Player X, and discuss what Player X would really need to do to be better than Steph. Starting with what would Player X look like? Well, he would most likely be a guard, since he'd have to be ball dominant and spend most of the game at the three-point line. Seeing that the NBA is evolving past the small guard and incorporating tall players who can play all 5 positions, Player X would definitely have to be taller than most point guards we see today. Think Ben Simmons or Magic Johnson. He would also need to be super athletic, like Blake Griffin or the Thompson twins. Now, what about his game? Athletic players tend to have a brute force style of play, like Westbrook, Ja, and even LeBron to an extent. But Player X would not use his athleticism as his primary means of scoring. He'll look for the three first and foremost, and would use his athleticism as a complement to this style, attacking the rim when he isn't able to get a shot off. He would have an incredible handle, using hezzies and crossovers to do whatever it takes to shoot a three. Driving to the basket and catching a body is a last resort option. This is the modern NBA we're talking about. The 2030s, 2040s, two-pointers are to be avoided at all costs. He would come into the league with a silky package, implementing elements of his shooting predecessors, predominantly the abilities to play off ball and create his own shot. He would have incredible endurance, to constantly move around the court, carrying his defenders and creating catch and shoot opportunities. He would need a quick release, but with his height advantage, it wouldn't need to be as fast as Steph's, but would still need to be fast enough to get a shot off in under a second. With his incredible athleticism, height, and quick release, he would practically be unguardable already. But so is Steph. We need Player X to be even better than Steph. He would shoot the ball with an incredible accuracy, averaging close to 45% from three, and he would need to have range deeper than anything we've ever seen, hitting logo shots at least a couple times a game. He'd be able to shoot off-balance shots on a consistent basis, to the point where he'll look for opportunities to do so, rather than just shooting them as bailouts, kind of like LaMelo on steroids. He would also need to be an insane on-ball defender, to strip the ball from the opposing point guard at least once or twice a game, and then take an insane transition deep three after the strip. It would have to be the kind of play that makes us look at our TVs like this. He would also need to be a mastermind of the game. After studying thousands of hours of footage, he'd be able to find defensive gaps like a chess engine, making his shot selection second to none. Lastly, this player would need to be on a good team. No matter how good he is, he'll never be able to reach his fullest potential without an elite supporting cast around him. Player X would have to be on a team that gives him the green light to shoot these nasty shots. So yeah, what I described does sound like a child sliding up his custom player to 99 stats in all categories. And it's true, it does sound fantastical. This is an archetype of player that just hasn't been seen yet, and it sounds almost impossible, but that's what people back in the 80s would have thought about a player like Steph. You gotta understand that all the best shooters stood on the shoulders of the giants before them. The same way Steph learned from Reggie and Ray, there's probably a kid out there right now practicing Steph's game and improving on it. And personally, I can't wait for him to see the floor, because he's gonna be a problem. Hooligan.